has tragically passed away at the age of 75. Star of The Shining, collaborator of Robert Altman, and proud native of Texas, she accomplished more in life than you may have heard about. And while the end of her life was often shrouded by misconceptions, she suffered her fair share of tragedies too. From 1970 to 1974, Shelley Duvall was married to Bernard Sampson, who at the time was the struggling artist of the pair. Before they were married, he painted and would showcase his art at parties with a little help from Duvall's charismatic personality. It was ironically at one of these parties, where she was enthusiastically pitching Sampson's work to a crowd of intrigued guests, that someone first had the idea to whisk her away into the world of film and television. Little did Duvall know that watching her pitch were crew members from the then-in-production film Brewster McCloud, the 1970 Robert Altman black comedy in which she would ultimately make her on-screen debut. As the Los Angeles Times reported years later, the crew members were so arrested by both her personality and her unique appearance that they staged a meeting between Duvall, Altman, and producer Lou Adler under the pretense that the two men were actually potential buyers for Sampson's work. To rub salt in the wound, Adler told the Times that Duvall's pitch far outshone any of the paintings. Altman offered Duvall a role on the spot, and after some debate, she reluctantly agreed to leave Texas for the first time in her life and join him on set. He soon cast her in another project, 1971's McCabe and Mrs. Miller, after which she returned home to resume supporting Sampson's art career. Sadly, their relationship quickly evaporated, and Duvall left Texas once again to pursue acting full-time. Less than a decade after her debut in Brewster McCloud, 31-year-old Shelley Duvall was cast as Wendy Torrance, the wife of Jack Nicholson's Mad writer Jack Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's seminal adaptation of The Shining. For better and for worse, it would ultimately be the role that defined her career in Hollywood. Her relationship with Kubrick began auspiciously, as she was cast by the critically acclaimed director without so much as an audition or meeting. Of course, Duvall herself was something of a hot commodity at the time, having recently won the award for Best Actress at the 1977 Cannes Film Festival for her role in Three Women. It was from this role that Kubrick apparently learned all that he needed to learn about her as an actor, that she was great at crying.
Daddy, I can't get out! Run and hide!
And cry she did on the set of The Shining. She later recalled feeling dread as she waited to receive her filming schedule every night, as she knew they would often involve countless hours of sobbing and screaming on demand for the infamously exact director. In the decades since, many observers both from outside and from within Duvall's personal and professional orbit have questioned whether Kubrick's treatment of her on set went too far. When asked directly whether Kubrick was cruel and abusive to her in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she responded, "He's got that streak in him, but I think mostly because people have been that way to him at some time in the past." Duvall later insisted that Kubrick had been, quote, very warm and friendly to her otherwise. Even though The Shining is considered one of the best horror movies of all time nowadays, it had its detractors back in 1980. Author Stephen King, who wrote the original novel, criticized Kubrick's choices and told the BBC of Duvall's character, "Wendy's basically just there to scream and be stupid." The Golden Raspberry Awards also nominated Duvall for Worst Actress, although they expressed regret for doing so years later. Regardless of whether you think The Shining is a masterpiece or a dud, what's obvious is that it would be an unquestionable shame to boil Duvall's character down to a single performance. After The Shining, she actually embarked on another act of her career that was in some ways far more impressive than what came before. In 1981, she created, executive produced, and starred in the critically acclaimed children's anthology series Fairy Tale Theater, in which she would narrate classic fairy tales featuring herself and other famous actors. The series' cast list is a who's who of A-list 80s talent, including Carrie Fisher, Liza Minnelli, Matthew Broderick, and Robin Williams, with Tim Burton and Francis Ford Coppola among the list of directors. Duvall also founded her own production company called Think Entertainment, which developed similar anthology projects for television throughout the 80s.
Some are funny, some are romantic, some are scary, and some, well, have a little bit of everything in them.
In the early hours of January 17, 1994, a magnitude 6.7 earthquake shook much of the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, California. It only lasted for a dozen or so seconds, but its effects lasted much longer. In addition to causing north of $20 billion in property damage alone and resulting in over double that in terms of total economic losses, the quake claimed the lives of 72 people, injured over 7,000 more, and left 20,000 without shelter. Among those affected was Shelley Duvall, whose house was severely damaged to the point that it played a major role in her ultimate decision to leave LA for good. A quote from Duvall attributed to a 1994 issue of the Houston Chronicle reads, "I can deal with hurricanes, but it's extremely frightening to have the earth move so much. Being a Texan, you kind of know when to get the heck out of Dodge." She spoke about the earthquake's effect on her life in a 2021 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, in which she elaborated that it wasn't just the disaster itself that wore her out, but the recovery efforts as well. As she put it, "Afterwards, it's like FEMA, then the next guys, and the next guys. Engineers one day, insurance people the next, sometimes at the same time." Around the same time as the sudden destruction of her home, Duvall also began facing increasing challenges in her personal and professional life. Paramount among her struggles was her brother being diagnosed with spinal cancer. When given an opportunity to return to her home state of Texas to shoot 1995's The Underneath, she capitalized on this momentum and moved home full-time to reconnect with her family. But neither her brother's illness nor the earthquake were solely responsible for her departure from the entertainment industry. It also appears to have had little, if anything, to do with the nightmarish production stories that emerged from the set of The Shining. Rather, as Duvall later told the New York Times, as she aged out of the sorts of roles she had originally built her career on, she claimed Hollywood had turned on her on a dime. After performing in the 2002 film Manna from Heaven, she took an indefinite sabbatical from acting that ultimately lasted more than 20 years. As her longtime partner Dan Gilroy told the New York Times, everyone was interested in speculating about Shelley Duvall's well-being in a voyeuristic fashion, seemingly relying solely on rumors and candid photos. In its grossest form, some people seemed to vocally interpret Duvall's natural aging process as some indication of a tragic physical decline. Compounding the misunderstandings, speculation also emerged that her role in The Shining was not career-defining, but career-ending. In the decades since playing Wendy Torrance, Duvall has been incredibly open about the intensity of shooting the film. But while her career flourished afterwards, both in front of and behind the camera, those on-set stories gave way to rumors that the role had ruined her life, when she herself never made that claim at all. While Duvall's intense time on The Shining set was well documented, with reported tension with Kubrick and stress levels so high her hair started falling out, it wasn't as bad as some later believed. Some fans ran with the idea that filming The Shining was so traumatizing for Duvall that she fled Hollywood forever, which just isn't true. There are even voices online that claimed Kubrick's alleged abuse of Duvall made him personally responsible for the course her life took. A noble impulse, maybe, but not based in reality. The truth is that neither The Shining nor Kubrick appeared to have played a major role in her long withdrawal from acting. In 2016, Duvall had been out of the spotlight for more than a decade and was by all accounts enjoying a quiet life in Fort Worth, Texas, spending time with family and healing from a tumultuous career in Hollywood. That didn't stop at least one interested party from getting into contact with her and, according to some, exploiting her struggles for television content. Phil McGraw, the controversial talk show host and former doctor best known as Dr. Phil, invited Duvall on his show for a special episode titled A Hollywood Star's Descent into Mental Illness, Saving the Shining's Shelley Duvall. The supposed aim of the interview, as explicitly stated by McGraw, was to address her psychological issues and connect her with psychiatric professionals that could help her achieve long-term wellness. Considering how McGraw's brand of Jerry Springer-esque talk therapy goes for most, it's no surprise Duvall's interview did little more than create viral moments for McGraw's show.
I loved Robin Williams. I don't think he's dead.
Where do you think he is?
Shape-shifting.
When Duvall, who was very sick and admitted she was in need of help, appeared behaving strangely in promotional clips, many online expressed anger toward McGraw for exploiting her mental health.
I think there's a whirring disc inside me.
For his part, McGraw doesn't regret the interview and claims he spent a year after the show trying to get Duvall into care, though others say he was merely trying to get her back on the show.
I regret that it was promoted in a way that people thought was unbecoming. People thought was unbecoming.
Another persistent Shelley Duvall rumor, long contested by her supporters online, is that the actor was homeless in her later years. The source of this claim is unclear, though it may well have spun out of her interview with Dr. Phil.
I'm very sick. I need help.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Around the same time as their televised interview, Duvall gave a separate interview to Radar Online, and the tabloid characterized her as mentally unwell and on the brink of financial ruin. According to their interview, Duvall's acting fortune had entirely dried up, leaving her with only $1,660 monthly Social Security to get by. She also seemed to accuse CBS and Fox Video of failing to cut her into a multi-million-dollar distribution deal for some unnamed project. Though it's hard to discern how much of this interview reflects reality, it is true that Duvall faced financial hardship near the end of her life. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter in 2021, she made allusions to what sounded like a bad investment, saying, "It's not just owning something that makes money, you have to also control it. You have to make sure it's a good deal." One of Duvall's friends also told the outlet that he believes failure to pay storage fees led to much of her film memorabilia being sold at auction. Sarah Lukowski, a writer and friend of Duvall's, confirmed in a lengthy thread on X that the actor did deal with some mental health issues, beginning in the mid-2000s. She posted in June, "Her mind is still vivid and full of engrossing stories, but there are brief moments when she experiences paranoid fantasies." Lukowski specifically contested the rumor that this illness was somehow caused by her experiences on The Shining, and remarked that it was both unfair to ignore her career afterward and unproductive to reduce an obviously complicated medical condition to the side effects of working on a horror movie more than 40 years ago.
Are you pleased to have done it? I'm very pleased to have done it.
As for physical health in her final years, a profile in the New York Times revealed that Duvall was living with diabetes and a severe foot injury. The cause of Duvall's death was complications from diabetes, according to the Times. Despite her ailments, Duvall was by all accounts living a happy life on her Texas ranch, where she spent time with her longtime partner Dan Gilroy, their many pets, and a circle of friends. Duvall returned to horror in 2023, starring in the low-budget independent horror film The Forest Hills. She told the New York Times, "I wanted to act again, and then this guy kept calling, and so I wound up doing it." Director Scott Goldberg spoke highly of her work on the film, gushing that watching her perform again, quote, "was as if time never passed." If you or someone you know needs help with mental health, please contact the Crisis Text Line by texting HOME to 741-741. Call the National Alliance on Mental Illness